everybody, Fujoshi commentary here, and today I wanted to do, I guess, a sort of reaction video. As you guys know, I am about the closest expert on killing stalking as you could get. I'm probably using that term very loosely, but I've made a lot of videos on killing stalking, quite a few. The bulk of my subscriber count is from my killing stalking videos. So I saw this video and a few people also told me about it from a YouTuber known as the RPG Monger. I've watched a few of his videos. His videos consist of like fandom hate videos, not really like fandom hate, like I hate this fandom, but hate within the fandom and how it affects people and things like that, and how like crazy it is, and how some of these fandoms are like really toxic and ugly. So I wanted to see what he was gonna say about the killing stalking, because I know it's gonna come, because there's so many like misconceptions, and then there's a whole like misconception on what happened between Yuri on Ice and killing stalking fans and things like that. So I'm curious to see what he does. From the videos that I have seen, which one of them I believe was Homestuck and the other one was Hatalia, he was pretty accurate in what he said. There were a few nuances that were kind of wrong or over like exaggerated, which I get it. Is more for the video and probably the AdSense to get the reach, but it has a pretty decent number. It has about 95,000 views. I'm just gonna have to start off with my reaction videos. I'll probably say like little snarky comments to kind of be funny, but at the same time kind of letting you know that like, oh, I noticed this, but don't take it personally, and no offense to anything I say as far as the RPG Monger. I think he does really good content. I've watched a lot of his videos and I think it's very well, so if I do have some like little discrepancies in what he says, it's me just being a fan or me just kind of correcting something, so it's not going to be nothing personal. The description kind of irritates me. It says manhwa. He's saying it in the Chinese pronunciation, like he's spelling it the way you spell Chinese manga, but that's not too bad. I mean, I would think if you are going to research a topic you would kind of know that, but I don't think it's that bad. Now let me read the description before I actually watch the video, because I want to go into it seeing what they have in store, because I like to read descriptions of people's stuff. Killing Stalking, a manhwa or Korean manga that has amassed some of the worst Fujoshi ever seen within any fandom out there. That's, I guess you could say that's kind of true, not really. I've seen a lot worse coming from the Fujoshi fandom as a Fujoshi, from like titles that are actually Fujoshi related. So I don't know if that's he's saying it in a way of like Fujoshis are kind of ruining a good story, or if he's saying that the Fujoshis are kind of dominating the way. So that's why we're watching the video. We're gonna see for ourselves. And here we go.
Being obsessed with something is never good, no matter what it is. Hell, 90% of the time, the people who end up ruining fandoms for others are just people overly obsessed with whatever the fandom is based around. Well, out of the multitude of fandoms I've covered, it seems there's always one certain group of people that provides a seemingly endless amount of hopelessly obsessed people to the fandom. And in the case of today's fandom, not only will we be discussing
so overzealous fans, elitists,
fandom, but I want to also explicitly talk about Fujoshis. With a few exceptions, it began with Black Butler.
See, that's what I kind of get annoyed by when he kind of already alluded that it's a specific type of fandom, and then he kind of just jumps to Fujoshis, which I have noticed that pattern with his Hatalia video, and I think Attack on Titan, and I think Black Butler when I watched Black Butler. He really rips on the Fujoshis. Like, to be fair, some of the Fujoshis that ship, like for example in Black Butler, they shipped Sebastian and Ciel. But to be fair, Sebastian and Ciel were kind of already a preconceived ship by Yana Toboso, so that's kind of why they kind of jumped on it, and then the whole innuendos that followed in the anime and manga. And I can understand the Hatalia Fujoshi thing, but at the same time it's like all you have to rip on are the Fujoshis, and it seems like he kind of gets his like bulk of like getting fandoms that rip on Fujoshis, like that it's so dominated by Fujoshis, when I feel like the perception could be better. I mean, it's just something I noticed with his videos in general.
Then once sucked dry, they went on to Italia, then Attack on Titan, then Tokyo Ghoul, then Osumatsu-san, and then, while I'm sure there are a ton I don't even know about, after claiming the life of Mystic Messenger and Yuri on Ice, they have now found a new place to call home.
My thing is I think as far as with Yuri on Ice, I don't think Yuri on Ice was really a Fujoshi thing, to be honest. A lot of the hate and a lot of the sort of downgrade that came from Yuri on Ice were more of the people who hated yaoi, who weren't Fujoshis. They were people who were claimed to be very anti-yaoi, very anti-BL. They wanted the better representation of gay couples presented in anime, and they felt like this was it. They really took like this sports anime and these tropes in the sports anime genre / shonen ai, and they really went over the top. Like, a lot of the people who liked Yuri on Ice were not Fujoshis. Like, they were just casual anime watchers, or like LGBT really like proper uppers who really wanted that representation, and they kind of took it to nth degree. It wasn't really a Fujoshi thing. And I'm surprised he didn't put Naruto in here, because Naruto was a huge Fujoshi playground for a long time. Like, ever since that Naruto and Sasuke kiss, and the Akatsuki sort of stuff, like, they pretty much dominated the thing. And like, after Naruto ended, like, a lot of people were pissed that Sasuke and Naruto didn't end up together, which I figured that wasn't gonna happen. This is Shonen Jump, like, they're not about to. But a lot of people were pissed. They hated the fact that Hinata and Sakura got with Naruto and Sasuke, like. So I think there were some nuances that were missed. I really do think that a lot of his criticisms are toward more Fujoshis. It's very easy Fujoshi bait to use. So that kind of says something. But he's saying has the new stomping ground after Yuri on Ice was Killing Stalking, which is an interesting transitional point, because a lot of Killing Stalking mess came from Yuri on Ice fans, which is kind of funny. Not all of them, but some.
Killing Stalking. Hello everyone,
Stalking.
This is G-Monger, and welcome to the Fandom Files, the bi-weekly series where I take you on a frightening and eye-opening journey into the vast maze of darkness within every fandom, with today's subject being Killing Stalking. Now do remember, out of the entire fandom, not everyone in it are like those I'll be discussing today. A good majority of them are genuinely nice individuals, believe me. Alright, here we go, the latest entry in the Fujoshi fandom lineage. Killing Stalking.
Okay.
Now, before I even go into the
Fujoshi family lineage.
I feel like for this fandom especially, I'll have to explain just what Killing Stalking is, as without context, this video will be even stranger for you all. To put it simply, Killing Stalking is a
I personally think, yeah, it would be a lot stranger, because Killing Stalking is not for everyone. Like, that's one of the misconceptions that people have with Killing Stalking, is like, they expect it to be this manhwa that is super sweet, super kind, and super cheerful, or at the very least, like, the twisted stuff is more of a it can be redeemed sort of thing, because we're not used to very dark themes. I personally am, because I personally went and sought out some of these titles, but in overall, I pretty much know what to expect when you get like really dark manhwa or manga or manhwa, whatever you want to call it. You get those sort of aesthetics, but Killing Stalking is definitely not for everyone. That is one of the misconceptions, that people just kind of run into it and then they realize this isn't for them, and then they want to sort of derail everything because this is nothing like what they expected. But I completely understand, for people who are of his followers, I'm sure some of his followers will be like, when they hear the synopsis for Killing Stalking, which I'm very curious as to how he's going to say that.
BL, psychological horror manhwa. BL standing for boys love.
He did it again. The manhwa.
Majority of the fandom are those who enjoy BL, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But considering the fandom hopping phenomenon that is only more apparent in this dynasty of fandoms, one of the most detrimental portions of Killing Stalking's fandom is just the fact that Killing Stalking really is unlike all of those garnering these types of fandoms before it. Though how so? Well, let me give you a quick synopsis of the plot so you can fully understand just a bit better. Oh, and if you do plan to read Killing Stalking, then a bit of a spoiler alert, since I will have to go over some pretty important stuff, I feel. So we start off with Yoon Bum, a young man who develops an obsession over his seemingly cheerful classmate, Sang-woo. Well, as those who notice the title may know, this obsession leads to Yoon Bum becoming a stalker and even breaking into Sang-woo's home. But oh no, in Sang-woo's basement, Yoon Bum discovers a woman tied up with the shocking reveal that Sang-woo is a serial killer. Of course, then in typical horror fashion, Sang-woo then discovers him and basically keeps him prisoner in his home. Thus, after stuff so violent I can practically smell the limited to no advertisers button, what unfolds is what could only be described as one of the most serious cases of Stockholm/Lima syndromes that just about any medium has to offer. As with Sang-woo flipping between horrific abuse and distorted kindness, Yoon Bum tries just about anything, and I mean anything, to keep his captor in good spirits so that maybe one day he will finally escape in one piece. Well, gee whiz, ain't that?
I like that One Piece pun in the corner. That was brilliant. That was brilliant. Yeah, so far I think that what he has to offer as far as his synopsis, it's not very, like, I've seen a lot of people when they make a synopsis on Killing Stalking, it's very biased, it's very kind of very cringy, they're always throwing in their opinion on it, but he's just giving the synopsis. Like, he's like, this is what happens with this, this, and this. And he's pretty much saying it very well, and I'm very impressed and very glad. And as he's saying it, it's very, very apparent that it's a horror manhwa, saying it is what it is. And I kind of think, yeah, the Stockholm Syndrome, very apparent, and I love the way this is being presented.
Just the most romantic situation you've ever heard of. Wait, what? Did you just say that it really isn't in any way, shape, or form, you sick psycho? Well, my friend, if I were some of the people in this fandom, I'd have to disagree. That's right. As you may have gleaned, one of the largest issues with Killing Stalking's fandom is just the fact that such things as abuse and stalking are put on such high a pedestal that people actually glorify them. Though why is it that people would do such an outlandish thing? Is there an actual reason, or are they just plain ignorant? Well, while them being ignorant also plays a factor in all of this, it actually stems from the approach that a lot of people have to Killing Stalking, usually due to how others introduce them to it. And how is it that others introduce them to it? Well, that stems back to the Fujoshi fandom dynasty, as it were, since just by taking a look at Yuri on Ice, one of the most recent entries in this never-ending spiral to date, a good bunch of these people go into Killing Stalking thinking it'll be like Yuri on Ice. As where Yuri on Ice...
See, that's exactly what I've been saying in my videos, and I'm glad he brought that up, that a lot of these people were Yuri on Ice fans, and I wouldn't necessarily call that Fujoshi. Like, I think that Fujoshi dynasty, well, it has some girth and some truth to it, it's still kind of like, the nuance is so broad, especially as somebody who's an outsider looking in and seeing, oh, there's a bunch of females who are cheering for the gayness coming in. Like, not every person who is kind of chill with gayness in an anime is a Fujoshi. Like, I have friends who are chill with, like, yaoi anime or shonen ai, or are obsessed with sports anime, and, like, are chill with the gay undertones, and they're not Fujoshis. Like, I think that that's, like, a line distinction there. But yes, exactly. Yuri on Ice fans took that transition and they thought this was gonna be Yuri on Ice Part 2, despite the name and the obvious implications. They thought this was gonna be like a dramatic love story or something, which I guess going in I could see that, but that was a lot of the issue in Killing Stalking. I wouldn't say it was necessarily romanticized.
Is a sports anime featuring a happy, loving gay couple, Killing Stalking is anything but, with its warped, abusive relationship, if you could even call it one. Thus, with so many people comparing Killing Stalking and Yuri on Ice, it's no wonder that Yuri on Ice's content-starved fandom would jump on the Killing Stalking train, not knowing what it might entail.
Exactly.
I mean, of course, within the fandom, there are a bunch that know Killing Stalking is primarily a horror manhwa involving heavy abuse and should be taken as such. But others treat it just like you would something like Yuri on Ice, with them bizarrely enjoying what happens between Yunbum and Sang-woo, not realizing that when people are held captive in this fashion, doing just about anything to escape isn't romantic in the slightest, and it's for sure not consensual. Hell, looking at the way some of these people are, I fear that their definition of romance is what happens in Killing Stalking. So,
to be fair on that point, which is a lot of misconception as far as people and the reasons why people were so shippy on Yunbum and Sang-woo, for those who don't know, which is already going to be spoiler because this video is going to be spoiler alert as I'm reacting, the whole dynamic between Sang-woo and Yunbum being together, which I highlighted in a video, was that it's more so the fact that Yunbum is, if you watch and read his backstory and how he's been so abused and how he even develops a relationship with this girl in his class and she just completely flips on him and just abandons him out in the cold. Like, you see this and coming up to the present day when he sees Sang-woo, and it turns out that, as it's implied so far, that Sang-woo was the one who kind of saved him from being sexually assaulted in the military. It's like Yunbum is just grasping out for trying to get to somebody who he loves, and while it's in a very creepy fashion to the point where he's stalking somebody, a lot of people empathize or sympathize, whether or not they can relate personally or not. There's a level of sympathy there for Yunbum, and a lot of people want Yunbum and Sang-woo to be together. That's that sort of want of, I wish this were different sort of thing. Like, it's very common with abusive relationships where the person who's being abused often says, I wish it could have been different, or people who see their friends being abused and are in being an abusive relationship, like, I wish they would have been different such and such. Like, there's that stage, and I think that's part of the process. My second reason for, as far as defending whether or not people ship Yunbum and Sang-woo, it's fiction already. Like, who cares? It's fiction. But at the same time, a lot of people I've talked to personally who have the sort of ship with Sang-woo and Yunbum, they're very well aware that there is abuse there, that is an abusive relationship. But then there's also the line of BDSM / what's dangerous and not cool BDSM. And then there's the whole effect. This is a serial killer sort of crime novelish manhwa. Like, this has tropes of serial killers. Sang-woo represents a lot of what Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer, a lot of the notorious serial killers who had such charismatic charm and looked so good, and then they come in and you see them for what they are when they're trying to kill, and they just like slice you off. He has that charm to him. That's why the whole Daddy Sang-woo or Daddy Sang-woo, like that whole aesthetic and that whole meme sort of thing, like, a lot of people pray tell into that. And that's why a lot of females like villains in anime and comic books. That's why the Joker's so notorious. Like, while he's a very appealing to the male demographic with his, like, he's badass, you know, he's crazy, he does what he wants, a lot of females like him because he's crazy like that too. It's a weird thing, and I understand how people coming from not really looking into the psychology of stuff like that could see it, but at the same time I'm just like, it's not just everyone wants to ship this because it's like Yuri on Ice. While that is a good portion of it, but a lot of the fans, when you talk to them before it even got popular, a lot of people were into Yunbum and Sang-woo being a thing. They wishing it was like a twisted thing where they kill people together and stuff, like Bonnie and Clyde sort of stuff. And I don't think that's necessarily bad to want that in a fiction novel. Like, it's different, but I don't think that means that for every relationship or the ideal relationship is abuse.